In just 3 short years, the Tour of California has become the premier bike race in America, and a world-class field of riders is ready again to take it on. Defending champion is Levi Leipheimer, who won the title with his Discovery Channel team, but Discovery is no more, so he'll have to defend that title with his new team, Astana. The American Chris Horner and the rising young star Yanis Brakovic will lend support. Team CSC will work to put pressure on Leipheimer as Jens Voigt looks to improve on his second place last year. And JJ Haido, who's had 4 stage wins in 2 years, he'll try again to dominate the sprints. Confidence is high on Slipstream Chipotle. They've been impressive the last 2 years and will try to steal a victory with a revamped squad that includes ex-CSC men Dave Zabriskie and Christian van der Velde. Rock Racing, formed by the colourful Michael Ball, brings to the fore now faces from the past, including the return of the legendary Mario Cipollini. The dark horse team of the peloton will look to shake up the field. The battle on bicycles is ready to roll. Who'll survive the attacks, climb to new heights, leave their blood, sweat and tears on the roads of California? The challenge begins right now to see who's the next champion. Yes, and it all starts right here, the city of Palo Alto, about 45 miles south of San Francisco. This is where the battle begins for the next 8 days of cycling in what is the 3rd year of the Amgen Tour of California. The scene is set as the riders will race up here into the campus of Stanford University. Hello everybody, I am Phil Liggett, and alongside me my partners for the week in Paul Sherwin and Bob Roll. Welcome guys, but let's get straight into the hot news first of all, and that was during last week we heard the news from the Tour de France organisers. They would not be accepting the entry of the Astana team, and that means that last year's 3rd place rider Levi Leipheimer and of course the winner, Alberto Contador, will not be riding in the big race of the summer in July. And I think that for everybody is extremely sad. Paul, reaction from you first of all.
Well, I think it's very difficult to understand the possibility that we could have the 1st and 3rd place getters in the Tour de France last year not on the start line, but I do think this is part of a political battle which is going on between the international governing body and the organisers of the Grand Tours, and I can only hope that Team Astana on the road will prove their worth and they will get into the Tour de France in July.
Bob, it's a real shame, isn't it? Especially for Levi, because this year I think he probably could have won the Tour de France.
Yes, an absolute shame for Levi Leipheimer. 3rd overall, 1st in the most important time trial of the race, the last time trial on the shade. I think that it may be time for a little bit of amnesty, and very few teams not tainted in some way or another by a doping controversy. It's unfortunate to single out Astana.
All right, well, of course, Contador is not here in California, but Levi Leipheimer is, after all, he's the defending champion. So let's have a look at some of the contenders we're going to see in action during the next week. Levi Leipheimer is the man here to defend his crown. He's a great time trial rider, and he knows he can win over the climbs as well. This could be a great course for him to repeat again. Tom Bonan, he's the big sprinter. He's ridden well in the Tour de France last year to take green. Now he comes here ready to take on the best sprinters we've ever have assembled. And Tommy Danielson, he knows he can climb. He's just waiting for that one big win that will turn him into a superstar. And what about his former teammate, George Hincapie? He's here too to make a name for himself for the first time, racing on a different team. He's always ridden though on American teams. He's now on the Team High Road. While the German rider Jens Voigt finished 2nd in this race last year, and Jens Voigt knows he has it in those legs to win this race one day. Yes, and what is the best field ever assembled here for the Tour of California? There are plenty of other names as well, but these are the names that we're looking out for. Yanis Brakovic is in there too, who was the winner of the Tour of Georgia last year. Fabian Weckmann, a former winner of the King of the Mountain, the Giro d'Italia. Oscar Ferreira here, 3-time world champion. Tommy Danielson, Chris Horger, Victor Hugo Peña. Don't forget, he was a man that once led while riding on Team Discovery Channel in the Tour de France. It is an incredibly good field, there's no doubt about that. Bob, it's difficult to pick a winner, isn't it? Let's face it.
It's very tough to pick a winner, especially this early in the season. You never know where the form is for one rider to the next. I like the chances of the Astana team. I think they have something to prove, and they're going to go out and be very aggressive throughout the race.
All right, well, where are we going over the next week? Well, let's find out with Paul Sherwin.
The Amgen Tour of California makes a lap of the Golden State. The journey begins in Palo Alto, and for the next 8 days, the course will challenge the world's best cyclists and 2008 Amgen Tour of California will end as it began, in stunning fashion.
Yes, you know, there really is no finer way to show the state of California off than to run a bike race around it. But Paul, this is a very tough course. I think it's the hardest of the three, isn't it?
Well, I think it has. You know, they've changed an awful lot, and as we said earlier on, they've taken the hill out of the time trial. The first time trial is going to be flat, but they've substituted it with a very difficult final stage. I think this year the Amgen Tour of California is really going to be a tailbringer, because when we go right down to the finish, I'm sure even on the last day, we're not going to know who's going to win this race.
It's a good point, Bob. Where will this race be decided? It's got some good stages.
There's a brand new climb out on this course. The stage into San Jose has a new climb, Mount Hamilton. It's 5 miles straight up before the final climb of Sierra Road. That's going to blow this race to smithereens, and it's going to be a great stage race.
All right, well, there's plenty more to come, and of course, by the end of our program, we'll know who is the first day's winner of the Tour of California. We'll take a break now, but when we come back, we're going to tell you a little bit more about the new team on the block, led by Michael Ball. It's Rock Racing. See you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. We're soon to see the start of the Prologue time trial, the first day of the 2008 Amgen Tour of California. It all starts downtown in Palo Alto. It'll wend its way to where we're sitting on Palm Drive and the finishing line here in the beautiful grounds of Stanford University. Now, the Prologue, what is it? This is what happened last year. It's over 3.3 kilometers, 2.1 miles this time. And Levi Leipheimer was the winner last year and the year before, for that matter. Will he win again and make it a hat trick now? Now, what is the Prologue time trial? Well, it was first brought into the Tour de France just over 40 years ago. It was to decide the first wearer of the maillot jaune, the yellow jersey, so everybody knew who was leading on day one of the race. That's my opinion of it. Now, what's yours, Bob?
Well, I was not very good at the Prologue, so I developed my own definition of the race. It's a violent race of a few miles, and it sears your bronchos until they're charred and gives you perma-hack for the rest of the bike race. That's why the bike racers are always coughing.
Thank you, Bob. Well, I'll tell you what, I think Bob's got a few surprises in for me over this next 8 days. They won't tell me what's going on. Now, as we went to break, we mentioned Rock Racing. It's run by the controversial owner, Michael Ball. But this is a team that's already made its mark.
The paradigm is shifting. Cycling is just one front. Things need to change, and people need to be respected. I don't buy into the status quo of anything. It's time to make a change for the better. You know, I like giving people opportunity, second chances, third chances. You know, if they can redeem themselves and show that they're learning and moving forward and progressing as individuals, no matter what the pursuit, I'm all over that. That's who I am. When I got into the fashion industry, I had a lot of naysayers there too. I've been the black sheep of the industry. You know, there's a lot of trappings and a lot of glamour and a lot of ways to lose yourself. And about a year ago I said, you know, I need to get my life straight and back together. And cycling has always been that equalizer. You know, no matter what is going on in your life, you get on your bike, you start training, none of that comes close to the experience that you have on your bike. Nothing. They've called me the overlord of cycling and the savior. Depends on what side of the aisle you're on. There's no malice here. The intention is to make this sport great. To be part of rock racing, you certainly have to have a warrior's mentality. You go in there as a team and win. Never give up. Ever. Ever, ever give up.
People get this preconceived notion that they paint a picture in their mind of what's actually happening when they look at a photo or they read an article, but that's not what's going on at all. You know, quite the opposite.
I don't see a bad boy image. I see guys having fun. I see guys working hard. I see guys being passionate about what they're doing. And I see that we're sticking together. I see individuals, and that's good, but we're a team.
My name is Michael Ball, and I am rock racing.
Yes, the team is certainly different. I think a very welcome addition to the pro circuit. Now, while all of the other teams in this race have 8 riders, in fact, this team, Rock Racing, only has 5. Perhaps you can explain that very briefly, Paul.
Well, first, I think I'd like to say, Phil, that if we said that rock racing weren't coming in to the sport at one of the most turbulent times in its recent history, then we'd be telling lies. But the situation at the moment is 3 of the riders on rock racing and 3 very big names in Tyler Hamilton, Santiago Botero and Oscar Sevilla have been refused to start, not by the race organization, but in fact by the international governing body and the World Anti-Doping Agency. It's a big battle we're in. In fact, it's a war against drugs at the moment, and I just hope that it doesn't discourage Michael Ball, because I tell you what, I think we need a little bit of that razzmatazz in the sport again.
Indeed, but Bob, one man is here. I never thought we'd ever talk about him again, but Mario Cipollini is back.
Incredible, a man with a lot of charisma. It would take to get Mario Cipollini back into the sport. Michael Ball's been able to do that with rock racing. I think it's a great program. They have a great team. The bottom line, the athletes are devoted to the team manager, Michael Ball, and that for me is what tells the tale. And it's a fine line between charisma and chaos, and you never know which side they're going to end up on.
Okay, well, whatever happens, I think we'll be seeing rock racing in the action over the next week or so. Well, before the race got underway this weekend, we were treated to a fine gala down in Sausalito, and our guest there was Robin Williams, and more on that when we come back. Yes, the festivities of the Amgen Tour of California officially kicked off on Friday night with a gala held on the waterfront in downtown Sausalito. Local VIPs had a chance to mingle with the boys throughout the evening as guests bid on auction items raising funds for Breakaway for Cancer. And Sausalito Mayor Amy Belzer, she greeted the enthusiastic crowd of 400 as each team had a chance to take the stage and show off their spiffy attire. But it was a local surprise guest who stole the show.
I'm here with Robin Williams.
Hello, hello.
I'm here with Bob Roll.
Incredible man. Oh, that camera. But it is a great thing to actually have an actual tour of California, to go through all the places I grew up.
Thank you, Robin.
You're welcome. You got it, boss. Enjoy the tour of California. Welcome. Did you tell everybody?
Well, you know, not only is Robin Williams a really great comedian and actor, he's also a pretty good bike rider. He rides a lot with Lance Armstrong, so don't try to keep up with him too much. Well, we're at the 8-day Tour of Caledonia today, California. Today it is the Prologue time trial, And in a few moments' time, we'll be underway with the first riders. There's a big crowd here and the skies are getting bluer. Let me remind you, though, that over the next 8 days, follow the Amgen Tour right here on Versus. Tomorrow, for example, we're with you at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, that is 8 Pacific Time, as we continue our coverage of the race with the first full road race stage starting out of Sausalito and heading down to Santa Rosa. Now, over these 8 days of cycling, there's an awful lot of technology involved, and CSC is not just a big pro team in the world of cycling. The CSC location is with us all of the way, and you can follow it with us too. Since 2001, CSC has sponsored a world-class cycling team. In last year's Tour of California, Team CSC finished first in the team overall. A company that continues to push the boundaries of technology and innovation will do so again this year with a brand new tracking device.
The new technology is part of the growing family of visibility solutions. You can literally see and track objects, people, vehicles, assets, infrastructure, and even extend that out to satellite imagery. We really saw a problem with putting weight on the riders, putting batteries on the riders that had to be recharged sometime during the tour. We determined that we could take all of the weight of the batteries, of the transmitters, of the communication technology, and we could put it in a vehicle, because these riders are always associated with a vehicle. And what would be on the human being could be limited to 25 grams. And at 25 grams, it's really unnoticeable to the individual. And it's going to give us a lot better data. Also, bring into that dynamic real-time changes in data. And that could be things like the elevation map that we have on the site. It could be things like clicking on one of the riders you're actually tracking right now, seeing what his history is, being able to know, is he good in the mountains? Is he a sprinter? What's his history been? What's he look like? By bringing it all together into one interface, we're trying to bring together that bird's eye perspective, the historical attribution, and then the dynamic real-time data that's going to affect the things that you're looking at.
Yes, and you can enjoy this new groundbreaking technology by going to the website www.amgentourofcalifornia.com and enjoy that. Well, we'll take another quick break. We're nosing closer now to the Prologue times I'll start. But when we come back, we'll just remind ourselves how the 2007 Tour of California was won.
The 2007 Amgen Tour of California proved once again why it's the greatest race in America. The battle began in San Francisco with the Prologue, a tough 1.9-mile uphill course. Jason Donald of Team Slipstream was the 7th man out of the set, and the tone was impressive with a time of 4 minutes and 50 seconds. He would hang on to that lead all day until the final rider, Levi Leipheimer, took the course. He fought the entire way, gritting his teeth as he climbed Telegraph Hill. With 300 meters left, Levi's time was equal to Donald. And with the crowd cheering him on, Levi made a final push to the finish and won by 1 second. It was his second consecutive Prologue win, and he ended the day in yellow. Stage 1 began. Stockton was the starting point for Stage 3, a grueling 93-mile ride over the mountains and through the narrow, windy passes to San Jose. The Category 1 climb up Sierra Road broke the peloton apart and looked to shake up the GC as well. A group of 6 riders pulled ahead and were first to conquer the climb, led by the man in yellow, Levi Leipheimer. And then with blazing speed, the riders descended into town towards the finish. With a little bit under 2 miles to go, Levi made his move on the group, only to be countered by big Jens Voigt. This back and forth battle continued to the end, when it was Jens Voigt who powered around Levi for the stage win, closing the gap on yellow to just 3 seconds. Stage 4 was the longest at 133 miles. It started in the town of Seaside and headed south along the California coast. The riders encountered heavy rain and dark clouds at the start, but as the peloton crossed Bixby Bridge, the rains paused and the clouds parted. 7 riders grabbed a 2-minute lead on the field, and with no one challenging the yellow jersey, Levi and his teammates rode steady throughout the day. With 6 miles to go, the peloton caught the leaders and the battle began. It ended in a photo finish with world champion Paolo Bettini capturing his first American stage win. It was day 5 for Levi in yellow, but the pressure was on, and only a 3-second lead over Jens Voigt. Stage 5 was the critical time trial in the town of Solvang. 127 riders were left, but the biggest threat came from Jens Voigt, who had the perfect opportunity to steal the yellow jersey away from Levi. He had an incredible ride and held the lead as Levi was set to go. With everything to lose, he wasted no time on the course, hammering away at his pedals. By the time he powered through to the finish line, he had opened up an 18-second lead on Voigt and proved worthy of the yellow jersey. Santa Barbara kicked off Stage 6 with a 105-mile ride to Santa Clarita, and it was clear from early on that the other teams were not going to make life easy on Levi. A 9-rider breakaway made a last-ditch effort for the overall lead. Through the mountains and across the dusty roads, Team Discovery had to work hard to protect their leader. At the finish, another frantic sprint ensued. Out of the madness, J.J. Haedo broke free to win his second stage of the Tour. And with the yellow jersey still on his back, Levi was one day closer to the overall title. The final stage was a 77-mile circuit through the streets of Long Beach. After 8 days and 650 miles through California, all that remained were 10 grueling laps. The attack started in the first lap and continued throughout the race, right up to the final sprint. Toyota United's Ivan Dominguez won the stage, but it was Levi Leipheimer who celebrated his first Tour of California victory.
Yes, but all that is history now. Levi Leipheimer was the winner by just 21 seconds in the end over Jens Voigt. Jason McCartney in 3rd place. Bobby Julich rode again well with a 4th. And Stuart O'Grady there in 5th. A bit further down, Michael Rogers, he's back again this year. Minute 32 seconds he was behind. Top 10 completed there by rider Hejadal. It was a great race last year, but let me say to you, Bob, a lot of those guys are back. But there's a lot of stronger riders come as well. It's a great field.
It is a great field. I think perhaps the best we have ever assembled here in North America, and the Tour of California is going to be absolutely fabulous. Last year's race, so competitive. Levi Leipheimer was the overall winner in the end, but what a battle between Discovery and Team CSE throughout the whole week.
I think we're going to see a different battle this year because it isn't just 2 teams. There are an awful lot of teams riding this year. I am excited to see not only have they toughened up the race route because it's really going to be a suspense in the final few days, but great to see names like Mario Cipollini coming back. But of course, for me, it's going to be exciting to see the sprints with Tom Bonan.
Well, of course, Levi Leipheimer last year won the race for Team Discovery Channel. They aren't with us anymore, but Team Astana is, and already they're hitting the headlines this week, but they're here to try and win this race. Let's have a look. There is now only one man left on course. Look at his face, he's hurting. It'll all go down to the sprint from Levi Leipheimer as he heads up towards the finish. He comes up to the line now, 4:49. The last man has done it. Levi Leipheimer, with an incredible ride, has won the time trial by tenths of a second.
Levi's win in the Prologue last year kicked off what would become his most successful year ever as a professional bike rider. He never relinquished the yellow jersey in California, and with the help of his Discovery Channel teammates, went on to win the premier cycling event in the US.
I know what it feels like, and it's an awesome feeling. And to have the yellow jersey on my back is phenomenal, and it's definitely going to motivate me for the Prologue in Palo Alto.
He's really worked very hard, and he has been fighting for everything he got right now. And he has the qualities, he has the experience now, and he knows how he has to work But the fact that the team really believed in him was definitely something that I think was a big contribution to his success.
That success continued at the 2007 Tour de France when Levi grabbed his first ever stage win. The next day, he stood atop the podium on the Champs-Élysées in third place, just 31 seconds behind his teammate and Tour winner, Alberto Contador.
2007 was a combination of, me just maturing and becoming stronger and more experienced throughout my career and finding the right team to be with. And for me, it just clicked.
But as 2008 begins, Levi finds himself with a new challenge and a new team. Soon after the news that Discovery Channel was disbanding, director Johan Bruneel accepted the job of general manager for Team Astana, who were thrown out of last year's Tour de France for doping violations. While many people question Bruneel's decision, Levi and Alberto Contador immediately joined the team.
Well, there was no hesitation for me to sign with Astana and to work again with guys like Johan and Eki, Sean Yates, and ride with Alberto and Paulinho and Naval. It's a very good group of riders, and it was also a chance to rebuild and create a new organization and start a new team.
Bruneel also signed American Chris Horner, who enjoyed his best ever season last year with Predictor Lotto. He'll be instrumental in helping Levi defend his title here in California.
He's motivated, he wants to win the game, and he's come with the form. I can tell already he has the form to win it. He's a fabulous rider, a great rider in terms of results, but a good person off the bike too.
There's no tomorrow. I'm not looking 3-4 years down the road. This is it, and I'm going to make the most out of it.
Hi, Phil. And soon the time will be to do it all again here. The prologue will shortly be underway in Palo Alto. The sun has come through now. We've got blue skies here in California, and soon the race will start. When we come back, we'll tell you more about another new team on the block, and that is Team High Road. Well, welcome back. We're waiting for the prologue time trial to get underway. Stanford Cycling Club are right to the fore here, and they were sat outside Stanford University. The sun is out, the riders are warming up. This man won't be taking part, but there's nothing old or ordinary about the Amgen Tour of California. Well, as we look now at the scene, the crowd is building out there, and we are waiting to see more than 130 riders take part as they depart at 1-minute intervals. That's where we are. We're sat here on Palm Drive, all set to enjoy ourselves. Now, we've talked already about Astana and Levi Leipheimer. But as we mentioned, we've got also, of course, the big new team on the block, which is Team High Road. Now, Bob, are we going to see a huge rivalry between Slipstream, which is the other American team that's trying to make it big this year, and Team High Road?
Well, High Road could be argued, a strong argument could be made that Team High Road is the American team in the Pro Tour. Slipstream, they still have a ways to go to get themselves into the higher echelon of the top teams. It's going to be a great rivalry, and whatever High Road does, I think you'll see Slipstream not too far behind.
I think we're going to see a battle of the fans, really, because there are probably 3 teams that could be regarded as having a serious American link. Of course, let's not forget Team Astana got Levi Leipheimer on board. But of course, I think if you look at Team High Road, they've got a team which really is the only professional team, the Pro Tour team, registered in the United States. But I think the hearts of the American fans this year are probably going to go out to Slipstream Chipotle.
All right, well, Team High Road is the ex-T-Mobile team, reformed now, new organization, and registered right here in San Luis Obispo, California. Let's learn more.
Whatever you think about the debacle surrounding the T-Mobile squad over the years, they've brought us some very high moments in the sport of professional cycling and some very low ones. But this team structure still remains under the auspices of Bob Stapleton.
I came into the sport believing I could make a difference. What I underestimated was clearly the difficulty in the sport, and in some cases the history of the team that I took over. I can't change the past, and I certainly can't change what happened 5, 10, 15 years ago in the sport. But what I can do is try and plot a good future for our athletes and hopefully the broader sport. It would be very easy to walk away. And this was never about money. This was a chance to do something good, I think, for a bunch of young people that deserve it. I'm trying to walk the walk and take action, as well as be vocal in my views. I think the sport needs to critically re-examine itself. I think that there's a lot of pressure from outside the sport for change, but the real change has to come within.
Over the years, one man, George Hincapie's had his career locked in to Lance Armstrong. But as he approaches the final few years of his career, he's looking for something different.
George contacted me and said, hey, I really like what you're trying to do. Is there any way I can be a part of it? I think he needed a fresh start. He needed a new environment where he could, grow again as a rider and as a leader.
Well, I've had ongoing conversations with Bob Stapleton now for a while. I really believe in his vision for cycling. I think he's a great person. And also, I've been on the same team my whole career, so I wanted to see what else is out there. And so far, this has been great. The riders on the team are really, really nice guys, really fun to be around.
George has just been one of them long-standing sort of legends of the sport, really, and I think everybody's pretty psyched to be riding with George.
For what he's done, he's just so humble and down to earth. It's unbelievable. He's just such a great guy. It's perfect.
You never finish learning when you're a cyclist, really, and to have someone like that around you and sort of laughing and joking with you, it's really good and great for the young guys in the team as well.
The good thing about this team is, we can have guys that win on any given day. I mean, we have some of the fastest guys in the world. We have good classics riders. So it's going to be an exciting team, and we're hoping for a really great year.
My success will be measured by what these guys do 5 years from now, not what happens, tomorrow or next year. It's not the financial rewards I'm chasing right now. It's the belief that we can do something special here, and I want to try and make that happen.
Yes, and these are the 8 chosen ones for the Tour of California. They've got plenty of others who could have come here as well, led by George Hincapie there, possible winning the Prologue time trial, Mark Cavendish, Gerald Scholich, a sprinter, Adam Hansen, a time trial champion of Australia. It is a formidable lineup. It is one of the finest team selections, I think, possible. Paul, what do you reckon? They're going to make a big impression here, aren't they?
Well, they've already made a very big impression at the start of the year because they dominated the Tour Down Under in Australia. This is almost a completely different team lineup they brought to the Tour of California, and I think they are looking to try and win here. And I've got a little inkling in the back of my mind that with the new team, George Hincapie wants to take the high road.
Yeah. Bob, who do you think is going to lead the way? They could win the Prologue.
Oh, they could definitely win the Prologue. Bradley Wiggins, George Hincapie, a lot of experience. Also, perhaps some of the best young racers in the whole sport of cycling with Scholich, Mark Cavendish, and don't forget Edvald Hagen. I think that's a name for the future.
Absolutely. He's an absolutely magical young rider. What a superstar. But there's other sport, of course, here on Versa. Let me remind you, coming up this week, tomorrow, the Red Wings will take on the Avalanche. Can they beat the Detroit Red Wings? Goodness knows. That's on tomorrow at 8 Eastern Time, 7 Central Time. Don't forget Tuesday as well. 2 of the most exciting young teams in hockey go head-to-head on Versus when Kane and the Black Hawks take on the St. Louis Blues. That's to come. We'll be with you every day as well here as the Tour of California unfolds. It starts right now, don't forget, with the Prologue time trial. We're not far away, but in our next segment we'll tell you a little bit about the big anti-drug controls which now go on in world cycling. See you in just a moment. Welcome back to our coverage today of the Prologue time trial in the Amgen Tour of California. It's the opening day. The riders are almost ready now. So too is the city of Palo Alto. That's where the race will start. It'll finish in Stanford University grounds. There is the world champion out warming up. Or is he out for a tourist ride with his camera? Paolo Bettini. He'll be in action very, very shortly. Well, as I say, we are all set to go here. I'm Phil Liggett, joined by Paul Sherwin and Bob Roll. The 2008 season is about to get underway. But it gets underway in a very different manner indeed this year because there are now much tighter drug controls after all of the bad publicity this sport has suffered over the last couple of years. Let's learn a little bit more about that.
What's happening here at the Tour of California is certainly part of a very concerted effort that we're making in cycling to eliminate doping. The pre-test program consisted of a blood test on every single rider that's due to start. We're doing a urine EPO test on at least a third of the riders before they start. Every day we'll test the overall leader on the general classification. We'll test the stage winner, and then we'll test 2 other riders based on either a random selection or we can select them for whatever reasons we prefer.
And what's trying to happen now is to shift and take that old culture and just wipe it out. They're making important inroads. You got to start somewhere, and it's a serious start.
There's a strong sense from most of the riders that this is something we need to do. Inconvenient as it is for them to be tested 12 or 16 times a year, they understand the reason why. And the far majority of them believe that this is what we have to do in order just to get this thing under control.
I'm encouraged, I actually am. I like the movement that is going on, and it's healthy.
Yes, and all the riders have already been subjected to giving blood samples. They were collected before the race begins today. Every day, the stage winner, the overall leader, 3 other riders will be tested, some at random and others targeted because perhaps they're riding rather well, and we want to know why. All teams agreed to guarantee all members of their teams are clear of any opening doping investigations. And for that reason, of course, 3 riders were excluded from the rock racing team. Bob, it's not a lot of fun being a pro bike rider now, is it?
It's most certainly not a lot of fun. Not only do you have to produce samples again in and out, you have to also be clean throughout the year because of the random tests that they do. You could be tested at any time, any place. You got to keep a diary of where your whereabouts are, and so it's very complicated. And it kind of intrudes a little bit on the preparation you can make for a bike race training-wise.
Well, I think what you have to bear in mind there, Phil, in fact, is what Ann Gripper said. It's the actual bike riders in this event want this to happen. They want the biological passport. And with this following of the biological passport throughout a whole season, it's going to be almost impossible to cheat from now on.
Well, thanks very much, guys. Well, let's go to a more pleasant happening now, and that's the arrival of a new team on the block here, Slipstream Chipotle, presented by H3O. This team could well challenge for some of the world's major prizes this year.
Against the dramatic backdrop of New Mexico's landscape, Slipstream Chipotle gathered at training camp with big plans and new players. But the moral fiber of this team remains the same. To win is great, but to win clean is the paradigm. Last year, team director Jonathan Vaughters implemented a year-round testing program to ensure his riders are drug-free, but also to create an environment where no one ever feels the pressure to dope.
It's just totally wrong that what's happened in cycling and a lot of other sports is that young athletes are forced with a choice of quite simply lose your dream and lose your job, or lose your moral grounding. If we win races and we start generating more sponsorship support than we have right now, I think that we can genuinely say that we change the sport. From an exterior standpoint, our team, the topic is anti-doping. On the inside, with all the riders, they don't talk about it at all, which is the first team I've ever seen in the history of my career as a rider, director, and otherwise, that's never sitting around just bitching and moaning about doping. Because of that environment, the riders we've taken, I think, are performing over their heads. You know, we're punching above our weight, for sure.
And with the addition of American Pro Tour stars Christian Vande Velde, Dave Zabriskie, and Tom Danielson, Slipstream's punch could turn into a knockout. But one of Vaughters' more controversial hires this year was David Miller, who was suspended from cycling in '03 after admitted drug use.
David was important because he was a guy who could speak dead honestly to the young riders about what he did, why he did it, how it hurt him. He's really taken it on the chin. He's served his time. He's come back, and I think that's important.
Slipstream already has invites to start both Paris-Nice and the Giro, and are likely to be wildcard picks for the Tour de France. But right now, they've got California on their mind, and they've been impressive in the past. Danny Pate was voted most aggressive rider last year, and Tom Peterson was both best young rider in '06 and briefly wore the King of the Mountain jersey in 2007.
We're going into Tour California with the idea of winning the race. If we don't succeed at that, of course, we're going to be the same aggressive, interesting team, dynamic team that we've always been, to try to win stages, win the secondary jerseys. But the difference is that this year, we go into the race thinking we can win it.
Yes, I'll tell you what, this is a team which I think will leave a big impression this year. No, it's not a Pro Tour team, but it could well find itself a wildcard entry into the Tour de France. I think so. All right, well, that's it, guys. Now the moment of truth. We'll start with you, Paul. Who's going to win this race? Overall, not today.
It's always very difficult at the start of the season. You've got to go with, I think you've got to go with your gut, and my gut this year tells me it's going to be George Hincapie. New team, new motivation. I think he wants to show them why he's a great bike rider.
Good heavens, a Brit supporting an American, Bob. How about you?
Heaven forbid. I thought you would most definitely go with David Miller. But,
no.
But for me, Astana is a team of Levi Leipheimer, but he's so heavily favored. I think it's going to be Yanni Brockovich, his teammate. He won the Tour of Georgia last year. He was in the leader's jersey of the Tour of Spain in his career. He's a great time trialist and also a fantastic climber. Look for Brockovich. I know it might not be the most popular vote with you guys, but that's who I'm going with.
Not popular, but very sensible, because in fact I agree with him. Levi Leipheimer is going to be seriously marked in this event. So watch out for a silly little breakaway going clear. And Team Astana will be there.
Well, it's normally at this time of the show we laugh at Bob Roll, but I have to say, I can't laugh at him this time. It's a jolly good pick, as we say. I'm going to go for the man who finished second last year, though, because Jens Voigt is on form. He wants Team CSC to succeed here. He wants to make that final climb up onto the top of the podium. He might do it. But we don't know how any of the riders have enjoyed their winter training yet. But we're going to find out in just a few minutes, because the Prologue time trial is about to start. And there is the crowd assembled down there. The riders from Stanford Cycling Club have been privileged. They've been allowed to ride the course in racing conditions. But when we come back, it'll be the big boys who come out of this start house. We'll see you in a moment. Last year's Prologue was 14 miles uphill, a climb through the streets of San Francisco. This year, it's fast, flat, and just over 2, leaving a wide open field of opportunity. Defending champion Levi Leipheimer has won the last 2 prologues, and he comes to the race in top form. He'd also love the yellow jersey on his back when he rides into his hometown of Santa Rosa. CSC is in the hunt with red-hot Fabian Cancellara, for the last 2 years the world time trial champion. He'll be tough to beat. Jens Voigt and Bobby Julich are others in the mix too. 2 times national time trial champion David Zabriskie will try to get back on form here after crashing out of last year's race. And with David Miller, Slipstream Chipotle, a 1-2 is possible. And Fast Freddy Rodriguez will seek a fast time with his new team, Rock Racing. The American sprinter will look to mark his return to racing on US teams after a 10-year spell as a pro in Europe. Keep an eye too on Quickstep's Tom Boonen. The short, intense route will definitely play to his abilities, and he could pull off a win for the sprinters. The 2008 Amgen Tour of California is set to be an epic battle. Yes, and there it is, Palo Alto. All the pre-shadow boxing is over now. The riders are going into the start house one by one, more than 135 of them. It's a 2.1 mile circuit. This, well, circuit's the wrong word. It's virtually out and home, starting from downtown in the center of Palo Alto. We'll come out along University Drive underneath the El Camino Road, and we'll go along Palm Drive, encircle at the top and race up to the finish line in the opposite direction. And there is a massive crowd here as we go out on course. This is Dave Zabriskie in the start house, and I can tell you the time to beat was the 5th rider to start today. John Murphy, a 23-year-old American, has come home with 4 minutes, 4.479 seconds.
Yeah, but Dave Zabriskie is a very aerodynamic professional bike rider, one of the most aerodynamic bike riders in the world, and this is his speciality. He's the American national champion of the discipline. Bob, it might be a little bit too short for him, but he certainly knows how to ride fast on his own.
He is one of the best time trialists in the world. This is the individual effort against the clock to set the tone for the whole stage race, and Dave Zabriskie would like to get out and do a good ride for his new team, Slipstream Chipotle. He changed team from CSC last year. CSC, year in and year out, one of the best at this discipline, and Dave Zabriskie hoping to bring some of that experience to the American squad Slipstream.
I tell you what, he's made a very fast start out of that start house. He wants to give the boys a flying start to the week. He may be 29 years of age now, Paul, but the last 2 years he's been the champion of the US at the time trial. That's why he wears the special team strip here as the champion, and what a lovely position he's got.
Heading straight down University Avenue now. He would be lining himself up very shortly into Palm Drive, but that is a very aerodynamic position. You see how low he gets at the front end of the machine. He gets his hands right into the middle of the handlebars. Please don't try this at home. It is meant to be aerodynamic. It's not a very safe way of riding a bicycle, but for Zabriskie, it's brought him success on the European circuit.
Well, just looking here, Bob, we're heading up towards the beautiful Palm Drive here as we head up towards Stanford University. It's a fast man's course, this, and if anybody can beat the time of John Murphy, it's got to be this guy.
Dave Zabriskie, fantastic along the flats. University Drive in downtown Palo Alto. That gives way to Palm Drive just underneath El Camino Real. Dave Zabriskie just coming on now to the campus of Stanford University. Zabriskie's got a long straightaway, then the Stanford Oval at the end of the straightaway, just before the finish line, right on Palm Drive on Stanford University. What a beautiful campus it is, and a perfect day for a bike race.
Well, before the start of the race, Phil, I was expecting a winning time of between 4 minutes 10 and 4:15, but in fact, some of the amateurs who were allowed to ride this course before the start of the race proper clocked 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So I think this afternoon we're going to see the winner go inside of 4 minutes, and this may well be the man to do it because this man is tearing up the road. Now, what a beautiful place to race there, straight as a die, hardly any corners apart from at the start, and then a big sweeper around the boulevard, the oval of Stanford University at the top end of the course.
Well, the day has moved into a glorious spring-like day here now. Temperatures rising nicely, as you can see from the heat shimmer there. Massive crowd. This is where you come on grandstand now because you go underneath the finishing banner, but in the wrong direction, right around the oval, and then you finish coming towards camera. There'll be a huge cheer now for Dave Zabriskie. There's no checks out on course, but unofficially our checks say he's running within 4 seconds of Murphy's time. He could be going inside.
Bob, it's amazing when you look at Zabriskie. He doesn't really look as if he's going very fast, but it's deceptive because of the size of the gear that this man is turning around. The gear that he's got on his bicycle is a lot bigger than the normal gear you can buy at the bike shop.
55 or 56, maybe 11 or 12 in the back, 56 chain ring. That is a huge massive gear, well over 110 inches. And Dave Zabriskie makes it look like child's play as he pushes that huge gear. Here's the last two corners out on the course at the top of the Stanford Oval. Just a few hundred meters to go for Dave Zabriskie, looking for the fastest time at the moment.
And what a marvelous crowd this is. It is a Tour de France style crowd for the Prologue here in Palo Alto and Stanford University. There's not a space in the barriers there. He's now lining up for the finish. There's the clock, the time to beat, 4 minutes 4.479 seconds. Zabriskie's got to be beating that time, but is he going to beat 4 minutes? This is the flyer who's had a silver medal at world level, twice the champion of America. It is going to be close. He's inside 3:59.584. That is the best time.
Yeah, look at his face though, Phil. You can see that man pushed himself into serious oxygen debt there to try and get inside that time.
Well, as we see Zabriskie cooling down there, let's pick up now out on course Stuart O'Grady, the Australian. He's 34 years of age. This is his second big race of the year because he rode the Tour Down Under in his home country of Australia. But we all remember that nasty crash he had on a Wednesday of stage 8 of the Tour de France last July. He's recovered, we hope, as he now challenges the time of Zabriskie out on course.
Well, I've got to tell you, this man has got an incredible talent. He's ridden on the tracks all over the world, and he is one of the most talented bike riders in the Prologue time trial as well.
So, puffing and blowing, Stuart O'Grady is coming up the back straight of the course and into the oval now before he swings around towards the finish. Again, his time is close. There's the crowd now as he heads up. There is the clock running here. 3:59 is the new time to beat. It's going to be close. It's going to be close for O'Grady, but it's going to slip away from him, but he still should get a second best time here. He hits the line in 4:4.253. O'Grady second. In the start house here is the champion of Sweden, Gustaf Larsson. He gets the countdown here.
Well, he's been 2 times national time trial champion of Sweden. He's a very rapid man on the road.
And as we cut back to the finish now, Larsson there just crossing the line at the finish of his effort, and his time is brilliant at 3:59.199. That is the best time now. But also riding today, and let's have a little look at him, Mario Cipollini. This is the rider, Paul, who we're about to see turn out a wonderful performance despite his age.
Bob, it's amazing to think we saw him retire back in 2005, and now at almost 41 years of age, Super Mario Cipollini is back, and at 41, he's not bad.
One of the most heartbreaking things for me as a commentator was to see Mario Cipollini retire. Time keeps on passing, but Mario Cipollini turning back the hands of time with this great time trial.
What a wonderful ride. 20th position here, 4:8.638 for Mario Cipollini, who is very definitely back in the game as a pro cycling. So we've had a great start to this, but the best time at the moment is Gustav Larsson with a 3:59.199. David Zabrisky's in there with a 3:59.584. But Bobby Julich is still to go. Welcome back to Palo Alto. In the start house now is Tyler Farrar, the 23-year-old slipstream rider. There's no change in the overall finish. It's still Gustav Larsson of Sweden at top of the leaderboard with a 3:59.199.
Well, this is a man making a little bit of a comeback to the sport because he broke his kneecap last year in the big race Ghent-Wevelgem. But look at this, Phil, for a time. This is a new best time. In fact, 3:56, if I'm reading that correctly. Now, that is amazing.
Well, that is a terrific time, and I have to say a little bit of a surprising one for Farrar, 3:56.463. Let's have a look at the standings then as they are at the moment. Bobby Julich still to go. Farrar on top now, and a massive beating of Boysen Hagen there, of Norway, the champion, and Gustav, the champion of Sweden, in third. Let's go back down to the start house. Smiling, I think it's a smile there, Bob, at Bobby Julich, and all the pressure on him now because the young guns are firing big.
Well, that smile will soon turn to a grimace as Bobby Julich gets out on course. He was third in the Tour of California in 06, fourth last year, second in the Prologue just last year, and fourth in the Prologue the year before. So Bobby Julich, he's got his work cut out for him on a short, fast, violent effort like this Prologue. No hills to contend with, but just over 2 miles of flat roads and some very fast times set so far.
The long legs of Bobby Julich gets him underway. A man back in the late 90s, finished third overall in the Tour de France, 1998. He's turned in some terrific time trials in his career as well, though, Paul.
Well, he certainly has. He created a bit of a surprise a couple of years ago, back in 2006, when he won the Prologue of Paris-Nice, and that's an indication that even though he's coming up to 37 years of age at the end of this year, Phil, he can still ride well at the start of any season.
The start of the season, the start of a new year, as Bobby Julich cuts his way around the time trial course here in Palo Alto, where they're clocking now an average of 34 miles an hour. Let me remind you that this isn't the only cycle race you'll see on Versus this year. Far from it now. As Cyclism Sundays gets underway, we will be bringing you the big one from France between Paris and Nice, and that'll come to you on March the 9th on Cyclism Sunday, the home of the Tour de France. I'm talking, of course, about Versus. So let's have a look down now from the helicopter, which is above the back of Bobby Julich here. He looks good, Paul. We don't have any checks out on course, but these are terrific times. And that ride by Tyler Farrar, who started out life as a junior track star, he's still only 23. I mean, that's a 3:56. It's going to be tough for anybody to match.
Well, we might well have to wait right down till the end to men like the world champion, of course, at this discipline, and that's Fabio Cancellara and maybe even Levi Leipheimer. But I have to say, 3:56 is going to be a very difficult time to beat. You know, Bob, the important thing about a Prologue is it's so short and it's so violent. We're only talking about a 2-mile race here, but a 2-mile race really starts very early in the morning, doesn't it, for the riders?
Oh, the preparation for the stage goes on throughout the day with the right breakfast, the right warm-up, a little bit of stretching, another small meal a couple of hours before the start. Bobby Julich should have mastered that. By this point in his career, he's been a professional for well over 10 years. Such a beautiful pedaling motion. You can see how smooth he is on the machine. Very supple pedaling, very quick, very aerodynamic. He's used that to great success. Bobby Julich fast in the time trials, a tremendous climber. That is what makes him a threat in any bike race that has stages with climbs and time trials, just like the Amgen Tour of California.
Well, Julich has the support here as he races up now along Palm Drive, and no prizes for guessing why they call this Palm Drive a most delightful road here. Transfers Palo Alto to outside Stanford University. Bobby Julich is heading up, a former winner of Paris-Nice, and he's done it in the time trials there. The crowd will push him on as he goes through the finish line rather, in the opposite direction as he encircles the oval.
Well, he'll swing around the Stanford Oval, and let's not forget that Bobby Julich back in 2000 2004 was a bronze medalist at the Olympic Games in the individual time trial. He looks very fluid here. He's just kicking those legs down. He's got the cadence nice and high at around about 100 revolutions a minute. The face bob for the moment is not telling anything.
The face doesn't look too bad so far. He's starting to rock a little bit in the shoulders. That means he's putting in a maximum effort. Bobby Julich, let's see what he can do in this bike race. It's been a while since he had some success. I can remember him crashing out of the Tour de France in a very brutal crash in the time trial stage. So just a couple of corners left for Bobby Julich to get done with this stage and see what his time is as he gets towards the finish line.
Well, he doesn't look that quick out there, but he knows he's got to aim now at a time way inside the 4 minutes. That 3:56 of Tyler Farrar has really stunned everybody. He's still there. He has a possibility here. He will see the line as he gets up towards it. And this has been a very, very good ride, whatever happens now to Bobby Julich. But it won't be quick enough, I don't think. He's coming into the home straight. 56 has gone by. He's now racing for third place on the clock. And it's slipping away very quickly. He's now gone outside of 4 minutes as he hits the line. Bobby Julich slots in 20th place. So maybe he won't be too happy with that performance. 4:06.367.
Well, I tell you what, it keeps him up in the top 20, Phil, and that's important for him. He's lost himself about 10 seconds, but this is a long race.
All right, well, Julich is in and no change in the overall. Let me remind you to join us and help fight cancer today. Break away from cancer. We support it here on the Tour of California. You can too. Text the word donate to 222-377. Help make a difference today. And also be entered to win daily prizes. Here's a chance in the 2009 Amgen Tour of California. Julich is done. He hasn't upset the leaderboard. Who will? We'll find out when we come back. Perhaps. See you soon. Welcome back to the Prologue time trial in Palo Alto. Are we in for a big surprise at the start of the Amgen Tour of California? Because Tyler Farrar, the 23-year-old, still has the best time with a 3:56.46. This is Tom Bonin in the start house, the big sprinter.
Well, you talked a little bit about a surprise. This man knows how to ride very good Prologue time trials. We've seen him finish in the top 5 or 6 in races like Paris-Nice at the start of the season. And Bob, he's got great form already this year. He's come off a very successful Tour of Qatar.
Tour of Qatar, way down in the horn of Africa, in an oil-producing nation. Tom Bonin won 2 stages. The team won the team time trial to start the Tour of Qatar, and he carried that momentum to the overall win. Here comes Bonin towards the finish line, trying to produce a surprise for the sprinter.
Well, his mouth wide open here. He's a very popular man in the United States, but I don't think his time's going to rock the time of Tyler Farrar. We'll find out very soon as Tom plows on towards the oval and swings in towards the finishing line. It's going to be a respectable time, but it's not going to be the best.
Well, he's going to try and keep himself up at the top end of the overall classification. 3 stage wins in the Tour of Qatar and the overall classification. A sprinter will try and do a very good Prologue time trial if he can, because he knows with the time bonus seconds out on the road once we get into the countryside, he's got a chance of getting himself the overall leader's jersey, and that's what he will want here.
Absolutely right, Paul, but let's see what his time is now. It's going to be a good time. He's running at 3 3/4 minutes at the crucial moment. He could be tickling the 4-minute margin, but you've got to be even 4 seconds inside it now to grab the lead. Maybe only the world champion Cancellara still to go will do that. Tom Bonin, the crowd is getting bigger by the minute here as he comes up to the line. It's a good time. 4:04.5, 16th place for the sprinter. Let's have another look at that.
Only a loss of 8 seconds for Tom Bonin, but I tell you what, once we got onto the longer sprints, you'll see this man certainly firing. You know, Christian Vande Velde is a man also who shouldn't have done too bad a time out on the course. And this is the finish of Christian Vande Velde just a few moments ago as he comes up to the finishing line. That's not a bad ride, though, for Christian Vande Velde as he stops the clock there in 4:01.234. That is a good ride by the man who's now riding again for the first time this year for Slipstream Chipotle.
It is. It's a very good time for him and a new team, as Paul has said, so new ambitions perhaps this year. Let's go back out onto the course again now. This is Jens Voigt, the rider who finished 2nd overall in this event last year. Bob, he looks to be going good today too.
Jens Voigt producing a fantastic time trial effort in last year's Amgen Tour of California, trying to race for the GC, and there goes Bradley Wiggins, 4th in the Prologue of the Tour de France last year. one of the best specialists in the short time trials. He won the Prologue in the Dauphiné. Let's see what Bradley Wiggins can do. And there's Big Jens Voigt, one of the GC contenders for overall. He did have a crash in training in the training camp down in Southern California just a few days ago. Let's see how those injuries are going to affect his performance in this Prologue time trial.
Well, he completely dismissed that fall, Paul, but just take a look at the scars on his legs and arms. It was really a heavy fall there.
It's a heavy fall, but this is a tough man. When we've talked about some riders who look really good on the bike, well, if you want to see a boxer, a fighter, you're looking at one right now, because that's what Jens Voigt is. He fights with his bike, he fights with the machine, and tries to get everything out. I think those are basically pretty much superficial injuries. This man will fight today, Bob, and he'll fight right the way down to Pasadena.
He'll be one of the most aggressive riders in this race, always looking for the breakaway, and that's a big asset to have for Team CSC. It seems like the battle is shaping up between CSC and the Slipstream riders, both of them trading off so far the advantage to Slipstream, with Tyler Farrar currently leading. That is a big surprise.
Well, I'll tell you what, the two riders on course at the moment, they could challenge the time of Tyler Farrar, and if they don't, then Farrar's time could stand the passage of time. Here we go back to the other man, Bradley Wiggins, a world and Olympic champion, a pursuit man, a pure speed man. Surely he'll get close to 23-year-old Farrar.
Well, he should be able to. Look at the size of this man. He's very tall, Longeline. He's got a very good pedaling action out there. And this now is going to be the finish of Big Jens Voigt as he swoops around the Stanford Oval there, not slowing down at all, pedaling right the way around the curve, keeping his speed as high as possible. He now will be looking to see if he can dislodge that time of Farrar at 3:56. It's not going to be for Jens Voigt this afternoon.
It is not going to happen, is it? That time's going to tick away as he comes into the home straight here. He's already going down the list. An outstanding ride by Tyler Farrar is withstanding all of the challenges here. Voigt will fight up to the line and live to fight on in the week to come, but for the moment, it's only the 27th best time.
Well, I just caught a glimpse going the other side of the finishing line there of Bradley Wiggins. I would say he's inside a minute from the finish. He's got to swoop around the oval there, Bob. I think we're going to see a very good ride there from Bradley Wiggins. He's not showing any signs of fatigue, pure speed.
Fantastic pedaling motion so far for Wiggins. He's just got over a kilometer to go. He's going to go through that red kite, then sweep around and come up to the finishing straightaway. He's a pursuiter on the track and a real specialist at this very particular discipline. Short, violent efforts against the clock.
Well, these are the 7 deadly fast men in the Prologue here, and they're all still to go except Julich, and he wasn't so deadly today. Cancellara is the world champion, Hincapie and Leipheimer. David Miller, Bradley Wiggins we're watching now. Zabriskie has faded a little bit, although it looked good when he finished. Let's find out now what's happening to Bradley Wiggins. He's inside a minute from the line here. He's very, very confident. He reckons he's got the form, and Tyler Farrar is facing the one man who could take him off the top of the pile. It is looking good.
Well, in 2004, this man got himself 3 Olympic medals in Athens, a gold, silver, and a bronze, but he's made his reputation, Bob, as being a specialist at this individual effort over a short distance.
He knows how to do the discipline. He knows how to handle the pressure now after the start of the tour in his own hometown of London, England. Just a few meters to go.
He's got it, but now he's got to sit down and wait, because we've got a lot of other big names to come. We've got David Miller of the United Kingdom, Fabian Cancellara, George Hincapie, and of course, the last man, Levi Leipheimer.
That's right, big names are still to go. He's not home and dry yet, but that was a performance by a world champion. Bradley Wiggins, the new best time, 3:55.980. Tyler Farrar still there in second place, but David Miller is to go. Will it be another Brit to take out this Brit? We're back with the time trial, and the big names are still to go, but one big name here has set a time for the rest to shoot at. The name of Bradley Wiggins, 3 minutes 55.98 keeps him ahead, only just ahead of the surprising ride there by Tyler Farrar, just by half a second better. Hagen, the champion of Norway, is third.
Well, you can be absolutely certain all the big names are looking at these times now. They'll be talking to their teammates who've gone out a little bit earlier on to ask, how is the wind? Which direction is the wind coming from? Can I start full bore, or do I have to save something down towards the end? This is Ben Day now coming up for Toyota United. A great ride by him, but it's not going to rock the boat of Bradley Wiggins at the top of the leaderboard with 3:59.980. I have to say, Bob, as Ben Day crosses the line, I'm wondering what Levi Leipheimer is going to do today.
Well, Levi Leipheimer, George Hincapie, and Fabian Cancellara are really going to have their work cut out for him. Over 35 miles an hour average speed for Bradley Wiggins to do a scintillating time. Wiggins, a new team this year, a much more disciplined program than Cofidis. He's on the high road squad, and obviously that's working well for him so far. What a great ride by Wiggins.
Well, that's a bit of a disappointing time by Ben Day, former champion of Australia in the time trials. Done nothing to approach the leaderboard. Zabriskie, we thought had done the best time possible out early on, has now slipped away and sits in only 5th place in this time trial. Wiggins, Farrar, Hagen, Larson and Zabriskie. It's quite an international lineup there, the top 5. Stunning ride by Wiggins. He'll be absolutely delighted with this. He was devastated when he missed a podium place in the prologue of the Tour de France in July. But I think, Paul, that's going to be a tough time for any of the remaining 12 riders to beat.
Well, in not very more than 30 seconds time, one man who may come out to beat that is David Miller. He will be getting himself ready right now. Bob and I believe today the big favorite has got to be Fabian Cancellara, but David Miller is no stranger at all, and strangely enough this year, and he's not only the national time trial champion of Great Britain, Bob, he's the national road racing champion as well. A special guy.
Snappy little Argyle highlights to the kit there, the helmet and the shorts, but that is, generally speaking, the national champion time trialist jersey that David Miller will be using today in the time trial. A skin suit, very specialized piece of aerodynamic equipment, and Miller is a real scientist of this discipline, studies every possible way to get an advantage, including the right gear and the right pedal position in the start house, adjusting that, making his final adjustments before he gets out on the prologue to set the tone for the rest of his Amgen Tour of California.
You mentioned Paul, a national road race champion, which he certainly is, and I was there in June when he won that title. He did a terrific ride to hold off the field. He was on the attack from the first few miles of the day, and you couldn't get a word from him for 20 minutes after he finished. He sat on the floor in the little town of Abergavenny in Wales. He deserved the title that day.
He so desperately wanted to win. He'd been psyched up to, in fact, participate in the national championships before the Tour de France, which was cancelled because of flooding in the northeast of England. He came straight off the Tour de France at the end of it, went down to the national championships and got himself the victory. Sorry about the little bit of picture breakup. That's because of the microwave link from the motorbikes up to the helicopter and down to the finish line here, but we can stay as close as possible here to David Miller, because I think he may well have a little bit of extra motivation this year. New team for him and a completely incredible camaraderie on Team Slipstream Chipotle.
Well, leading the event just until Bradley Wiggins, the riders from Slipstream, doing a great prologue and setting the tone for the whole Tour of California for this squad. David Miller, a real specialist in this discipline. Let's see what he can do. He's got his flying wings on today, everything dedicated to going fast, not worrying about how the machine is going to handle, just how it's going to slice through this long straightaway down University, under El Camino Real, onto Palm Drive, and around the Stanford Oval before the finish.
Well, you mentioned the machine. Actually, is a nice chance to have a quick look there. You saw he had a solid disc wheel at the back. That reduces the turbulence caused as the rider cuts through the wind, but as you can see at the front, he's also got some very deep carbon fiber rims. That's to improve the aerodynamics at the front end of the machine. The break up here is because we're going through the tunnel. This is the crowd at the finish line. I think, Phil, that really David Miller might be a little bit too old in his career for a 2-mile time trial, but he won't be too far away when we get down to Solvang.
Well, it's nearly 31 years of age, so it might be difficult. Remember that this is the prologue of the Amgen Tour of California. It gets underway tomorrow. The prologue, exactly what it says, is the race for the yellow jersey. The man who pulls on the race leader's jersey on the first day of racing tomorrow. The international regulations don't allow 8-day races. They allow 7-day races in this case. So they call it a prologue, and that means you get a crack at being the leader on day one. Now, at the moment, Bradley Wiggins is set to pull on that yellow jersey, but there are still some huge names to start. The world champion, Paolo Bettini, will start soon after Miller. Fabian Cancellara near the end. George Hincapie. Last man to go will be Levi Leipheimer, who's never been beaten in the Tour of California prologue yet.
Now that is an awful lot of pressure. I think removing Telegraph Hill takes a little bit away from the advantage of Levi Leipheimer, Bob, but he will have the motivation of having ridden this course, I'm sure, during the winter months while everybody else has been over in Europe. He's been down here a couple of times just to see what this course is like. He will probably know this course now by heart.
Oh, Levi has done all the recon possible for these race courses here in California. He's from Santa Rosa, so it's not that far of a commute to come down here and take a look at the course. David Miller will have a chance this morning and in the last few days to take a look at it also. Not very a technical course, 2 left-handers at the start, but then mostly long straightaways to the finish line and a huge crowd greeting the riders.
I'll tell you what, Bob, this is looking like a powerful performance by Miller. Of course, the clock never lies, and we'll see that very shortly. But this is a huge ride by this man. I believe he's part owner of the Slipstream Chipotle team as he comes round that bend, so he's every reason to ride well today. The flag of Italy flying in readiness for Paolo Bettini, still to come as Miller now comes off that bend. A little bit sluggish off that bend, not quite as rapid, I don't think, as Bradley Wiggins.
But he kept the pedaling action going all around there. He won't have lost very much time at all. I don't think he's going to beat Wiggins, but this is a good time by David Miller. He's still inside the 4-minute mark as he takes that right-hand sweeper into the finishing straight.
Well, there's no doubt Miller and Wiggins are the big 2 time trialists of the UK, but I think it's now very definitely advantage Wiggins. It's still going to be a good ride by Miller as he comes up inside 4 minutes, but these days it's only good enough now for 7th place, 3:59.789. Miller is in, but the other big names are still to ride in. Paolo Bettini, Fabian Cancellara, George Hincapie, Levi Leipheimer. Can they upset the rhythm set now by Bradley Wiggins of a 3:55.9? We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back as we look down from the sky here now on a world champion of the road, because that looks to me, Paul, as though we're now seeing here Paolo Bettini. He starts just a couple of minutes after David Miller has finished. That's the situation, unchanged. Wiggins still the leader.
Well, this man is one of the great single-day road cyclists of the world. He's been the Olympic champion. He's been 2 times world champion, Bob. I don't think it's negative at all about Paolo Bettini to say he's not a great prologue rider.
This does not interest Paolo Bettini nearly as much as you think it would. He likes the competition of the open road. He had a great stage win in last year's Tour of California. That was a bit of a surprise down in San Luis Obispo, but what a thrill to see the world champion stripes flash across the line, a micron ahead of Sciolek in the sprint to San Luis Obispo.
Good point you raised there. He's not wearing the World Champions jersey in this discipline because he's not World Champion at the time trial. That honour lies on the shoulders of Fabian Cancellara, who will be starting in a few moments' time. Watch out for this man, though, Phil, once we get out onto the open road, because he's not come here to California just to enjoy himself. He wants to get himself another stage victory.
Absolutely right. Well, you saw earlier that he was riding around the course in his World Championship jersey with a camera. So I think he wanted to get a record to back home of the huge crowds that watch cycle racing in the US, because this is a superb crowd here today, and these riders are performing. Bettini is going to struggle to get inside the top 40 or 50 riders here, but that's not why he's here. As Paul Sherman has said, he is here to try and ride the road races and win stages. And let's not forget, Bob, he actually did win a stage of this event last year, and he often talks about how he felt. Here he comes up to the line as it counts him away from the leaderboard. Let's see where he goes. 77th. Oh, I think I'll tell you top 60. I can't remember now.
Well, I think you said he was going to finish in the top 100, and that was an excellent prediction by your good self.
Thank you, guys.
Losing himself 18.5 seconds, but as Phil has said, not really important. What's important for this man is getting out onto the open road. But I think what's important for me is to see what's going to happen when Fabian Cancellara dons the jersey of the world time trial champion. He knows what he's got to do. He's got to beat a very special bike rider, Bradley Wiggins, who clocked 3:55.9. That's going to be a really tough order to beat, especially at the start of the year, and especially when you know that Bradley Wiggins is in full preparation for the World Championships.
Well, as we pan around the crowd here, we're waiting for Cancellara to get into that start house down at the start, which is in the center of Palo Alto. Then it's nothing but people. The whole ride of 2.1 miles is 3 and 4 deep, all the way around this circuit to the finish line here, which is in this beautiful drive. We call it Palm Drive because it's full of palm trees. It's in the shadow of the magnificent Stanford University. And there he is, Bob. There he is in the start house, the world champion.
Looking a bit nervous, Bob, I have to say. He jumped onto that bike as if he was ready to go.
Fabian Cancellara, the hot favorite on everybody's lips, is the man to dominate this event. If we look back a few months to the Tour de France Prologue in London, England, it was this man who absolutely annihilated the field. If he has some of that form, he could do it again today. One thing missing on his Palmares, and I'm sure that's in the back of his mind, is the time trials in the Tour of California. Didn't win either one of those last year, while in the other time trials he participated in throughout the year, Tour of Switzerland, Tour de France, he is the absolute dominant racer in this discipline, the time trial. This is your man, Fabian Cancellara.
He's underway. The world champion is underway. One of only 3 riders who can upset a perfect day for the new Team High Road and Bradley Wiggins. We've got to take a short break, but we'll be back for all of the action. Cancellara will be up first, then Hincapie, then Leipheimer. See you in a very short moment. Welcome back, everybody, and Fabian Cancellara is on course. He's in Palm Drive. Bob, what do you think?
I think he has a great shot at this. It looked like he's going very quickly indeed. A proud man who is very gifted at this discipline. It's going to be tough for him to beat, though, the time of Bradley Wiggins.
And there's George Hincapie about to start back downtown, while up on the shadows of Stanford University, Cancellara is encircling the oval. We will get the clock as he comes off the oval, and that will tell us if he's going to nail Bradley Wiggins or not.
The only one thing that can go against, I think, Fabian Cancellara is how short this time trial is. Just 2 miles, 3.3 kilometers. He's much better when he gets that big engine going, but did you see the speed he went around that corner? He's the first man to have to slow down to go around that corner.
He's flying. Now he needs around 3:33, 3:34 on the clock when we normally pick it up. Doster in this massive crowd. Oh, he's 3:35. It's going to be a close one as Fabian Cancellara, the winner of the Tour de France Prologue, the last 2 years the champion of the world. The crowd is shouting him on as Cancellara lines up to aim at 3:55. He is going to do it with an incredible ride. 3:51.211. Fabian Cancellara has done it again. And perhaps I shouldn't say that with Levi Leipheimer and Hincapie to come.
2 big names still to come, I have to say. Before the start this morning, Bob said there is a big favourite for the Prologue time trial here this afternoon. It's Fabian Cancellara. He knew it was going to be Cancellara, but Bob, I have to say, was thinking that this man could create the surprise. Nice and calm and relaxed. George Hincapie in the starting gate. Had 2-stage wins in the Tour of California back in 2006. Broke his wrist last year. A new team for him, and I think a completely new atmosphere that he's enjoying so far.
And let's not forget, in Strasbourg he was second in the Prologue time trial as well, behind Thor Hushovd on that occasion, but he can ride a great time trial. And Team High Road have just lost the #1 spot, and can George Hincapie put them back into the #1 position here? There's no doubt that that was a ride by a world champion. A ride at 3:51 is incredible. It's an average speed approaching 35 miles an hour for the 2.1 mile course. Now George looking good. Remember, this is the first time George has never raced on a team that has been dominated or part-owned, at least by Lance Armstrong.
It's a complete change for him. I think he's going to have a brilliant season. I've often thought that George Hincapie needed to look for a different team just for the end of his career, and I think he's going to have a very special year in the starting house. You can see just on the right-hand side in the turquoise jersey of Team Astana, last year's Prologue winner, last year's Amgen Tour of California winner. Levi Leipheimer now has to psych himself up because he knows to beat Fabian Cancellara, he has to do something incredibly special.
George Hincapie has raced under the El Camino Real highway, which will take you straight down to San Diego, while we go back downtown in Palo Alto. The last man to start at 132. Never lost a Prologue time trial in the Amgen Tour of California. He knows a bit of pressure here as Levi Leipheimer will receive an enormous cheer. Remember, he's been dropped by, and so is his team from the Tour de France. He is an angry man as he launches.
Well, the concentration on his face, I could almost see the muscles trembling there as he launched himself out on the attack. He will know this course. He's got a couple of corners before he lines up into University Avenue, then into Palm Drive, and then we'll get a chance to see just how well this man is riding.
Well, he's settled down. That's a familiar style now as we swing up the road a ways. Now George Hincapie is in Palm Drive and racing to the cheers of a partisan crowd here, but it's still a Swiss man who sits atop of all of the riders back at the finish. He cuts a real nice figure as he races up Palm Drive. He's as straight as a die. He could be a torpedo coming up the road.
Hincapie lining himself. He's looking down there. His arms are right in the middle of those handlebars. That keeps him as aerodynamic as possible. The little tunnel he's going under there indicates there's 1,000 meters left to go, a kilometer, as George Hincapie now realizes he's got to do something special too, because 3:51 by Fabian Cancellara is a phenomenal performance. If any man could do it, it could be George Hincapie or it could be Levi Leipheimer, who will be spurred on by this crowd. More than 200,000 people are watching him here here and willing him to win this race.
Well, these are the last two riders on course. Back to Hincapie. He's just leaving University Drive here, heading to go underneath El Camino Real, and then he'll be in Palm Drive as well. He looks good at this point, but we don't know what the clock is saying. There he goes under the road. Let's rejoin George Hincapie up the road, because he must be now heading in towards the finish. Here he goes.
Swinging around the oval now for George Hincapie. 3:51 is the time at the top of the leaderboard of Fabian Cancellara that Hincapie has to move. Lost in that sea of people there. 3:41. I think he's going to slip away. It's going to be very difficult for George. A little bit too short the time trial effort for him here. Watch out for him further down the road when we get to Solvang. Now, Phil, with Hincapie coming into the finishing line, there's only one man left out on course who can beat Fabian Cancellara, and that is Levi Leipheimer.
George just comes in outside of 4 minutes for 12th place here, as he always does. He sits up, a double take on the time. He won't like that. Shake of the head. 4:1.943. George didn't do as well as he might have liked, but is this man going to produce the goods that will take the world champion off the top spot on the podium today?
Well, I think taking Telegraph Hill away from this individual time trial has given the advantage back to the specialists, but let's not forget the final time trial in the Tour de France last year went to this man, which allowed him to finish in 3rd place in the overall classification. And just looking at the speed as he goes past the people here, Phil, I think he's got the speed. He has got the ability to rival Fabian Cancellara here this afternoon. It's all going to be the way he circumnavigates the Stanford Oval at the top.
Well, one thing's for sure, the Amgen Tour of California is also a winner today, because this is a terrific crowd. The first time ever in the 3 years of this event. We have started in Palo Alto, and it has been an outstanding turnout by the people here. Look at the face now on the picture here of Levi Leipheimer. He knows this could be a blink of an eyelid to decide it. 3:51.211 is the world champion. Now it's up to Levi.
But he's thinking long-term as well. Let's not forget this man wants to win this bike race overall, as he did last year, but he wants to start with a bang again. Look at the speed. Whoa. He's got the speed this afternoon. He had to adjust his line going around that corner, and that's an indication this man is going very fast indeed. You have to take risks at this moment, because if you slow down at this point, you can lose 3 or 4 seconds, and that is all it takes. 3:39. It's going to be a very close battle by Levi Leipheimer, who's now lining up for the sweeper into the finishing straight.
I don't think he can rob Cancellara of another great Prologue ride, but he's racing possibly for the 2nd place finish here. 3:51 has gone by, slipping away a little bit. He needed the hill we had last year in San Francisco. Leipheimer comes home. Okay, 4th place isn't that bad, Paul.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you can see he's a little bit upset about not getting the victory here this afternoon, but I have to say the kind of course that we raced this event on was really suited to Fabian Cancellara, a big, powerful man with a massive, big engine.
Well,
and I have
Bjarne
to say,
Riis.
Bjarne Riis is there with the winner. You can just see Fabian Cancellara. Now he knows he's got the victory. He can head his way up to the podium for his presentation.
Well, Team CSC, everybody talks about this great rider, Fabian Cancellara. They know how he rides a time trial. It is his speciality. He's won prologues all around the world. If I was Levi Leipheimer right now, I would feel very pleased with my day's work, because in seconds, he's very close to the leadership of this race. And long term, surely Leipheimer is a better bet than Cancellara.
Well, that's the important thing, I think, for Levi Leipheimer. That's the important thing to remember about the sport of professional stage racing, road racing. This is where this man took a lot of risks, Phil. He was full speed going around that corner, and he had to adjust his line. But I tell you what, he's in good form, and he could be setting himself up as a favourite to win.
And as Leipheimer comes off that bend, take another look there. This is the man who's won. He's got his first win of the year. Last year, he won the Prologue of the Tour de France. This year, he started well. He is winning the Prologue of the Amgen Tour of California. We will be back in a moment. Yes, it is all over, at least for today. The World Time Trial Champion, Fabian Cancellara, Paul, delivered the winning blow.
I think he took a little bit of revenge, because he wasn't really startling last year in the time trials of the Amgen Tour of California, but this year he started in a right royal show. What a fine performance by the man who has now been 2 times champion of the world at this discipline.
Well, let's have a look at the result of the prologue. There he is on the podium, saluting the crowd. To his left is second place Bradley Wiggins. To the right, a terrific ride from Tyler Ferrada. He's only 23 years of age. These three riders certainly proved today that they are the best time trialists over 2.1 miles. We can have a look at the results now. I think we can show you the top 20 finishers here. Cancellara winning 3:51 for 2.1 miles. You can't do that in a car. Bradley Wiggins in second place, 4.7 seconds slower. Ferrar third at 5.2. Levi Leipheimer in fourth this time, but only losing 6 seconds. And Edvald Boysen Hagen, he's there fifth at 7.6 seconds off. What a find he is. Gustaf Larsson, the champion of Sweden, finished sixth. The champion of the USA, Zabriskie, made it in seventh. The British rider Mark Cavendish, the sprinter no less, he was there in eighth. Looking further down, Ben Jacquemain, who finished third last year, comes in 11th this time around. George Hincapie, unlucky 13 for George today, but only 10 seconds off the pace. And then we have Carl Menzies of Australia topping up the first 15 riders. And completing the top 20, Chris Horner's in there for his new team, Astana, in 16th place. O'Grady finished in 18th. And John Murphy, who was turning out a big surprise early on, completed the top 20 places. All right, well, he's down there. He's standing with Bob Roll. Here's Fabian Cancellara.
Fabian Cancellara, congratulations. When you woke up and look at the start list this morning, you see some great names: Bradley Wiggins, David Miller, of course, Levi Leipheimer. Great satisfaction to win.
Yeah, sure. I think it's a really great opening, and for me especially, to be one more time on the start ramp with the rainbow jersey, it's sure a good thing. And to win the first race in the season, a great opening for me and for my team.
You won just about every time trial you entered last year, including the Prologue of the Tour of Switzerland, the World Championships, and of course a thrilling stage in London to start the Tour de France. This must be a great satisfaction to you. The 2 time trials in the Tour of California last year, perhaps the only stages that you did miss.
Yeah, I missed really Tour of California Prologue because the last 2 years was always Levi faster, and I trained hard. And to be now on the first, on the opening Prologue, it's amazing. It's pretty good.
Thank you, Fabian and Cancellara.
You're welcome.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Boy, he's coming on a bomb. I mean Bob Rolls, not Fabian Cancellara's, but I'll tell you what, this is a tremendous race now. Cancellara is a strong boy. Last year he arguably won the top 5 time trials in the world, including the world title, and he's at it again. Tomorrow we're out on the open highway, and that will be the first showdown time. It's quite an undulating route too. Let's have a look at where we go tomorrow. We go over the Bay Bridge to Sausalito to make the start. Pretty much a duplicate of stage 1 last year, and then we head down towards the finishing line in Santa Rosa. All the action really in the hills come in the last 30 miles of the day, with a couple of hard climbs and rugged mountain scenery. In fact, beautiful mountain scenery, that's for sure, as we go down the coast now, heading to the finish in Santa Rosa. So remember, be with us tomorrow, and we'll be on there from 11 o'clock Eastern time. We continue our open highway ride with the Amgen Tour of California, and that's 8 p.m. Pacific time. And that's very important, as this race is running right down the Pacific Highway on the eastern side, western side rather, of the United States. Paul, any tips, any indication there exactly who's showing the true colours for what's going to come in the next 7 or 8 days?
Well, I think we've already seen that Team Slipstream Chipotle are the team that are going to try and rival the men at the top, because they put a lot of riders in the top 10 of this short Prologue time trial. 4 riders in the top 10, but it will be a great battle, and it'll be a great battle, I think, for Levi Leipheimer. He is riding home, and this year not in the yellow jersey. Watch out for him, because there's a very nasty climb once the road turns in from the coast down on the roads into Santa Rosa. It's going to be a great battle.
Well, the man in red who just flashed through there was Boyden Hagen. He's a man of the future, and this is Chris Horner here. He's not a man of the future, forgive me for saying that, but he is a terrific bike rider on a new team. We're off to a great start, and it's thanks to the huge crowd here in Palo Alto. George Hincapie today, well, he couldn't turn on the style perhaps, Christian van der Velde as well, but they certainly rode well on their home soil.
Don't discount George Hincapie. After all, this was only 2 miles. The whole race is 650 miles when we go down to Pasadena. I tell you one thing, there's going to be a lot of fighting and a lot of battles out on the roads of this year's Amgen Tour of California. I think it's going to be a great race. Everybody better stay with us.
Yes, and remember, it was a prologue, and that means we're now on the highway tomorrow, and there's still only seconds covering everybody in the Tour of California. Don't forget, catch up with us at www.versit.com. That's your link to the Tour of California. We'll keep you up to date on the long road ahead. Fabian Cancellara, again, the time trial king, and now he's in the hot seat. He wears the yellow jersey tomorrow. For Bob Roll, Paul Sherwin, Phil Liggett saying, see you tomorrow. Goodbye.